Hello everybody and welcome to an unscripted video of me talking about Europa Universalis 5 while playing Victoria 3. Now why am I playing Victoria 3 instead of EU 5? It's because I can't actually show you any footage of EU 5 yet. So you guys are just going to have to make do with what you got here. Unfortunate, but that's just how it is. Now here's the catch. I have only played about 20 hours of EU 5 so far. I haven't actually been in the program particularly long. I've only been in it for about a week now, and of that week I've only really been able to truly put in 20 full hours at this point. I have played through 4 different countries now, and I played most of them for the first 60 years, effectively the first 60 years, somewhere around there, and I've gotten a good idea of how the game actually does play. I wouldn't say that I'm past the tutorial point yet. Obviously, when we're talking about EU5, we're going to be talking about a very, very, very in-depth, like, there's so many different qualifiers, so many different modifiers that it's actually bonkers. So take this as an opinion, as more of a first look than an actual proper review, okay? This is just my first look into the game. I can't even give you a proper review yet because obviously I haven't played through the entire game yet, so I can't give you that yet. But here's the thing, I do have a couple ideas in mind of how the game is going to look when it comes out. I have a couple of things in mind, what they probably need to fix, what they probably shouldn't touch. There are some things I think are very fantastic and I think should make it to the final product. And hopefully somebody out there is listening. And if there aren't, I mean, at least you guys get a good idea of what is coming up. And, you know, get hyped, because, I mean, the game is good. I'm going to tell you that up front. The game actually is good. Now, that's going to be it for this intro. We're going to get right into the video. I'm going to split it up into multiple different parts here, okay? I'm going to treat it as if it's like a scripted video. Anyhow, we're going to be doing a lot of rambling, so I hope you're used to it. I hope you get used to it, because it's coming. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is the map. It is pretty sparse. I'm going to tell you up front, there are a lot of countries out there currently, and when when I actually do go through each one of the countries, you're going to understand that there is a lot of expansion possibilities for pretty much every single country out there because of the way that they design every little country. There's always going to be a small, tiny country right beside you that you can use to expand. You don't have to do a bunch of goofiness like you did in EU4, where you had to make an alliance with another country and then draw them into a day one war at that point. Or I guess a month one war, because you have to wait a full month before you can even attack anybody. So I can't even say day one war, I'm going to have to say month 2 war. But yeah. Another thing about the map that I've noticed is they don't really have a proper topography map. Like you know with CK3 and Victoria 3, you got this, this, I guess it's kind of pretty. I obviously I turned down the settings on this so I could have it run faster, but I mean it is kind of pretty to look at, and they don't really have that for EU5. Another thing that I've noticed about EU5's map is, again, it's super duper sparse in areas that are not Europe. I guess in areas that are not Europe and I guess East Asia. Once you get into areas of, say, Africa, Oceania, or both of the Americas, wow, there is a lot of space out there for colonies, and my goodness, I would not suggest playing as a native at this point in the game. Obviously, they're planning things out for these open areas, but oof, at the beginning of EU5, it kind of reminds me of the beginning of EU3, where everything is just open-ended, open sparsely, and yeah, there's a lot of potential for colonization out there, especially if you're one of the countries out there who can get it super duper early, like Portugal or Spain. But ooh, yeah, I wouldn't suggest playing as any African countries or North American or South American countries at this point, just because of how sparse everything is, and it is definitely something that you're gonna notice is gonna be a bit of a culture shock at the beginning. But the number of countries is staggering. Did you think there was a lot of countries in EU4? Did you think there was a lot of countries in EU3? Did you think there was a lot of countries in EU2? You're wrong on all of the fronts, because we're talking about a potential of maybe 2,000 countries. I did not count them all. You want to know where I got the number 2,000 from? I started as a small, tiny podunk tribe, and I looked at the rank, and I was like, rank 2,000. So, my goodness, that is a lot. and I do mean a lot of countries. So you're not gonna be you're not gonna run out of countries to talk about in that game. You know how I like to do shorts on countries for Victoria 3? Well, if I started doing that for EU5, I would never run out of countries. I would be able to do that for 4 or 5 years, and by then we're gonna be talking about the release of Victoria 4. So yeah. Definitely don't have to worry about the number of countries out there. It is definitely impressive out there. I am completely blown away. As for the balance between those countries, oh my gosh, the balance is completely wild. Like, playing as Hungary, wow. Just a completely different game from playing as Venice, a complete different game from playing as Tyrone, a complete different game as playing Vijayaraja. I can't pronounce it properly, but it's that little tiny podunk country that's south of the Delhi Empire in India. It's a complete different feeling as playing as one of the many Aztec miners. Wow. How you play the game completely varies depending on where you play, and at the same time it also completely varies based off of what you play. And it is a definite improvement of playing Victoria 3, where you're effectively playing the same way every single time. So I do kind of like the consistency for Victoria 3, where I can literally know what I'm doing, jumping in no matter what country I'm playing as. But EU5, wow. Playing as Tyrone, the 2 countries I played the most are Venice and Tyrone. Venice, I was just going absolutely ham when it came to building. I went absolutely ham when it came to building up my trade. I went absolutely ham when it came to effectively controlling my entire node. When I did do a conquest, and I did a lot of conquests as Venice, I was effectively staying in my relative, my one trade node, and I wasn't really trying to take over all of Italy, but it kind of turned out to be that way after a little while. But then there's Tyrone. Tyrone was more about getting control of the like, your strength is based off of the number of levies that you have at the early point of the game for Tyrone, and levies are controlled by the tribesman friendliness, effectively the legitimacy stat. You'll see what I'm talking about when you actually get a chance to play it. I think it's called tribesman power, but obviously I should probably have EU5 up when I'm talking about this, but I'm just going off of the baseline memory here because I didn't want to accidentally showcase anything. I don't want to break any of the embargoes at this point, but yeah, it's based off of control. So instead of working on my trade, I'm working on getting control over the tribesmen, getting them settled in, getting control over them so that they can become levies and make me more powerful so I can attack other countries in the region. And as a result of that, I effectively am able to conquer quicker than I would have otherwise if I didn't get control, because we're talking about a difference of like 100 levies to 150 levies. And believe it or not, 150 levies is enough to conquer a good portion of Ireland as Tyrone. So it definitely worked out. And I mean, as far as the map goes, it's kind of like just playing in Victoria 3 and you're zoomed out. That's what it feels like when I'm playing in EU5. It's not ugly, it's not gorgeous. Obviously they're going to be adding more stuff as the game goes on, so I don't know why people are freaking out over the release. I do think that is definitely something that they're going to be fixing, but I mean, priorities, man. And does anybody remember EU4's release, like how sparse it was? EU5 is definitely a lot more complete than EU4 was at release, but I think we're turning into like a Civ 7 situation where everybody's kind of got different expectations. Everybody expects more than what the previous version had after all the expansions, and as a result of it, whatever they release is just going to feel insignificant in comparison to what they had before. So a lot of people, they'll just play what they had before rather than buying the new one. And then, I mean, obviously what happened with Civ 7 is it kind of died as a result of that. It kind of died on the vine. I thought Civ 7 was a pretty interesting concept. It kind of felt like a little bit of a mixture of civilization and humankind, but other people didn't agree. They hated it, and now Civ 7 is going into the annals of history as one of the worst Civs releases ever. In fact, I think it might be worse than Civ 3's release. So Civ 7 is definitely going to end up as one of the worst, if not the worst, Civilization games out there. Do I think that's going to happen to EU5? Probably not. And the reason why is because Paradox is a hell of a lot quicker when it comes to getting patches and DLC out. You see, Civilization 7's main issue was they were slow. They were painfully slow on the response. The patches that did come out were good, but were they good enough to make up for the major issues that the game had? No, no, no. Do I think the EU5 is going to do better? Oh, yes! If EU4 is any indication, I'm willing to bet that they're probably going to have a major DLC out within the first 3 to 6 months. As opposed to Civ 7, where it's, 9 months into the game's existence now, and they still haven't got anything super duper major out yet. Yeah, they've had a few minor ones out, but it's not enough to actually change the game. I'm very confident that Paradox is not going to have that problem. They are DLC hungry, so I don't think Paradox is going to sit on their hands and wait. So I think that the sparseness that I talked about for the map is definitely not going to be a problem for EU5. Oh boy, now I get to talk about a controversial part of the game. We're going to get to talk about the UI. The UI is serviceable. It's not gorgeous by any measure. Look at Victoria 3's UI. You know what? Victoria 3's UI is very sleek, very modern feeling, very clunky. Again, it's got that Stellaris feeling on the right side here that just kind of overloads you with information that you don't really want. You know what? It's modern in a way, but it's also really, really, really janky and clunky. EU5 kind of feels that way. Once you get like 60 years into the game, like I have, in the early 1400s, the right side bar gets full up really quickly, and you're going to turn off that news feed really, really fast. Like, there's a news feed on the bottom right, just like in Victoria 3, that you are never going to use. And you're probably going to turn it off, and you're just going to pretend it doesn't exist, and you're just going to have the right bar here, kind of like Stellaris, kind of like Victoria 3, where you're going to be scrolling up and down a lot, and it's kind of annoying, and I wish they could fix that a little bit, maybe split up the bar, have like a bar here, and maybe have a bar down in the bottom left. But I guess they can't do that because they got all the information in the bottom left that they'd probably be covering up, so maybe that's not going to work. Maybe an extension bar where you could like push a button and it would extend out to the left here, and then you could just take up a little bit more of the screen. I don't know. Okay, I'm not a UI designer. All I know is that the UI for Europa Universalis 5 is serviceable. I've been able to navigate it relatively quickly, and I'm not a smart person. I am a fool. And I've only played it for 20 hours, but again, compared to Europa Universalis 4, where everything's kind of hidden, I think everything is kind of out there, plain to see for Europa Universalis 5, except for a couple points. There are times where you want to look at the ability of another country. You kind of have to zoom out and then do a scroll over to see the information that you're really looking for. Like, oh, his army's really big and this guy's army is really, really small. And then there's another way that you could look at it where you can right-click on the country. You could bring up oh, look at the country panel. There are 2 country panels, by the way, which is kind of confusing and convoluted, so it does kind of hurt on that front. And there's a bunch of icons at the top, and it'll tell you all the information that you need. It'll tell you about your legitimacy. Well, it's pretty much legitimacy, and your bad boy. Well, it doesn't even tell you your bad boy points, but yeah, there's a lot of information to go through, and it's not gorgeous to look at. It kind of reminds me a little bit on Civilization 7 on that front, where it kind of feels like the way that UI design has become is kind of regressed back to like 2005. I honestly think the Europa Universalis 5's UI kind of reminds me of Europa Universalis 3's UI in the way that it is set up, and I don't know why that trend has been going on in development studios lately. I don't know if I like it very much. I like how easy it is to use. That is something that I really love about the current EU5 UI. I'm going to be able to explain the UI to other people relatively easily when it comes to actually making a video where I have it up and showcased to you. I can go through it perfectly. 20 hours. Only 20 hours. I already understand the UI perfectly. Okay? I could not do that in EU4. There's so much information in EU4 that it would take me 100 hours to be able to truly understand the UI in that game. But again, there are caveats. There definitely is some hidden information, like understanding the differences in regular armies is kind of a pain in the butt. Understanding how to set up your armies is kind of a pain in the butt. Understanding the difference between how to get your levies stronger, that is something that took me a lot of effort to truly test out. Obviously, one of the best ways I found was getting your tribalman leadership, which is pretty much just legitimacy, country legitimacy up, and that'll give you a flat percentage bonus to your levies. But at the same time, getting tribesmen settled into your state, like when I was playing Tyrone as Ireland, right up here, if you settle the tribesmen and you get control over the state, you actually increase the number of levies that you can pull out of it, and that was a good way of doing it. And it doesn't really explain that very well. That's something you're going to have to test out or for yourself, or obviously get explained to by a YouTuber like myself, and that's definitely something you're going to be going into on the 2nd of November. But as far as the UI goes, it's super duper serviceable. Okay, it's not Civ 7. I know everybody's calling it Civ 7. Oh my god, it's Civ 7's UI. It's ugly like Civ 7's UI, but unlike Civ 7's UI, it's not unintuitive. It doesn't feel like it's in the way. It feels like everything is designed that you can find most of what you're looking for right away. And there are definitely parts where I kind of wish that they would showcase everything right away. Again, how to get the levies up. What an absolute pain in the butt that's been to understand. I wish they would make a little bit more information on that front, especially for games like when you're playing as a podunk little tribal nation. But I guess not everybody's going to play that. They're going to be playing like freaking Hungary, which is a huge country in this game now. Like, I mean, a gargantuan country. Or you're going to be playing as France, or you're going to be playing as Britain or Scotland. And Scotland's huge now. Wow, Scotland's very, very huge. It's actually very impressive how big that Scotland is in this game right now. Yeah, the UI isn't bad. I do think it's a little on the ugly side, but again, I have to remind people that, remember Stellaris' original UI? Does anybody remember EU3's original UI? EU4's original UI? Yeah, the UIs change like clothing when it comes to a Paradox game. And unlike Civ 7, they're not going to be waiting 9 months to get a proper DLC out. They're probably going to be waiting 3 months for a major DLC expansion on EU5, because that's how Paradox gets their money. That's how they do it. So I am fully confident that all of the so-called ugliness that people are complaining about is going to be touched up on immediately. That's going to be one of the first major expansions that's going to come out. They're going to release like a freaking free patch out there, and it's going to give you like, ooh, pretty topography, and ooh, a super duper sleek UI. Because they'll have more time to work on it, and they'll get a lot more feedback from a lot more players at that point. Right now, they don't have that much kind of feedback, so it makes sense. I will have to admit, there is one thing that is kind of staggering about EU5 that kind of reminds me of EU4, and that is the number of modifiers that are out there. There are a staggering number of modifiers out there, and it is really, really, really difficult trying to get a handle on every single one of them. I have a funny feeling that people are going to be talking about EU5 in the same vein as EU4, where they're going to talk about the first 1,000 hours of the game being the tutorial for EU5. That is how deep the freaking game is. It is bonkers how much there is to it. And again, I have to remind you, every single country plays differently, kind of like with EU4. Like, if you're playing a freaking tribal nation over in the States, you're not going to play it the exact same way as you did a country in here. The difference is, you're not going to be able to cheese your way through institutions like you could in EU4. You won't be able to, I'm going to use development to just grind my way up and I'll get my institution right away. Oh, no, 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 child. No, you're going to be struggling all the way up until you can finally properly modernize if you're playing as a minor podunk tribal nation in Africa, South America, or North America. And believe me when I say this, it will be a struggle, especially in the current base game. I haven't played it a whole heck of a lot. I just know what I'm being told by other better YouTubers out there. And yeah, it is intense. Very, very, very intense. And it's a different entire way to play. But again, there are so many different modifiers out there that you're not going to be able to get a full handle on everything. Maybe if you're like a code diver, you might be able to get a full understanding of it, but whew, there are a lot of modifiers that I don't fully understand, particularly the army differences. Like, I still have a hard time understanding what longbowmen do. Like, when I did get all the way up to a point where I actually could get longbowmen, there's different modifiers for longbowmen. I won't go full detail onto this, but it does feel like longbowmen definitely do play differently than base bowmen, and I actually don't know if longbowmen are even worth it at this point. They might be bad, like, but I don't know, because again, there's so many different modifiers that it just boggles my mind. So if you're the type of person who loves going through the mathematics of the game, you're gonna love EU5. This is something that has so many different modifiers that you're just effectively going to be you're gonna be busy for quite a while. It is definitely a thinking man's game. It's definitely a mathematic type game. If you're very mathematical, you're very analytical, very logical, this is the type of game that you've probably been waiting for. It really does feel like a full, true sequel to EU4 in that manner. The difference is the starting countries, they don't really have that much modifier flavor between them. Like when EU4 came out, obviously we had like the traditions and all that stuff. They don't really have that for EU5 in the same vein. So the amount of modifiers is different on that front, where every country feels completely different in how it plays, just based off of those. But again, that's only for major countries. Again, if you're playing as a minor tribal country, if you're playing as a podunk tribal country in like Africa, the game changes completely. It's just a completely different way of playing, and it definitely builds up over time. Another thing about the modifiers is the type of leaders that you get, the type of people that you can put into positions of power, your councilmen. They get major modifiers depending on their skill and what you're working on. So it kind of feels almost a little like, I won't go out of the way and say it's exactly like CK3 in that front, but it definitely takes a mechanic from CK3 and it makes it feel very similar to CK3, or even Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Like, the higher your martial skill, well, I don't want to tell everything about it, like, but the higher your skill is in a certain field is, and the action that they're doing, it'll give you a higher percentage bonus towards doing that. Like, say you want to increase the amount of stability on there and you got a high administration skill, it'll give you a huge boost on that front, and it definitely goes up as a result of that. And that's just another modifier that makes the game just completely mind-boggling for people like me who don't really dive that deep into modifiers. Like, when I play Victoria 3, I don't have a set way that I play every single time. I don't follow through with a specific method every single time. I just know, I need this, so I'm gonna build this, and that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know the full numbers. I can't tell you what each and every single building is gonna make me overall. I just build. I just like building, and I like looking at the line go up. I see line go up, I feel happy, and that's all I care about. But, I mean, EU5 is definitely more analytical. It's definitely more of a thinking man's game. It's definitely more logical on that front. So, yeah, it's really good for those types of players. Alright, so now we're going to be talking about population. Population in Europa Universalis 5 is effectively just Victoria 3's population system. A lot of people out there were very terrified that it's going to end up like Imperator Rome. Not in the least. Instead, it's kind of like a very small scale version of Victoria 3's population. You do have the same level of bonuses out there for Europa Universalis 5 in the same vein as, say, Victoria 3, where, you got a lot of population birth bonus. You get a lot of extra population growth and that sort of thing. And yeah, it definitely does play out like that. What I have discovered is, as a result of that, and because it's such a small scale comparison, if you're playing a smaller country, you're going to never want to attack anybody unless you have a massive, and I do mean massive, bonus over them. Like, you do not want to fight countries who are only slightly weaker than you. If they're only slightly weaker than you, you're going to ignore them. You're going to pretend you didn't see them. And the reason why is because in the early game, if you're playing, like, say, Tyrone again, I use Tyrone as an example because that's the one I played the most. I played all the way up to, like, 1420 as Tyrone, and I took over all of Ireland, and I even formed Ire, and that was great. But here's the thing. When you're attacking another country as Tyrone, you're doing it with levies. You're not doing it with regulars. And even then, if you're doing it with regulars, you only have a set number of people who can become regulars based off of the qualifications. Kind of like the same qualifications you have in Victoria 3. I'm just going to call it qualifications. It's a completely different system in EU5 with a different name. But again, I'm going off the top of my head. I don't have EU5 running right now, so obviously I can't give you a full rundown of what all of the systems are. I can only give you comparisons. But here's the thing. You're going to want to protect your population as if they're gold. They are a very, very valuable resource in EU5 for smaller countries because they're the power projection. If you go into a war and it's a long, prolonged war and you're balanced out and you're slightly stronger than them, so you're guaranteed to win. But here's the thing. Even if you do win, you're going to lose a very sizable amount of your levies, and they're not easy to replace. They're very, very difficult to replace, so you don't want to waste them. They're so valuable in the early game for tribal countries like Tyrone or Ulster or I don't know, even African countries. Yeah, you're not going to want to waste them. You're going to want to protect them. So you're only going to want to attack other countries if you have a massive, massive advantage over them. So you can defeat them without losing too many people yourself. That's what I've discovered. Then that's where my successes come from. I was able to do a lot of successful wars because all I did was build up my levies, build up my regulars, build up my army, and I only attacked countries who were super duper duper weak. And if I got attacked by a larger country, like I got attacked by a country called the Pale, and they're effectively Dublin, and they're England's controlled like vassal almost of Ireland, and they're super duper strong. They had like 4,000 troops. At the time, I only had 3,000 army. What I did have, though, was I had Scotland as an ally, and I pulled them in, and I made them do all the fighting. And while they were going around fighting the army of the Pale, I was effectively just circling around them with my army and hitting their settlements, their cities, and we ended up winning very handily because, I mean, Scotland at that time had 10,000 troops, so they ate the Pale. But I didn't fight once in that entire war. I avoided every fight I could. I did not want to fight. I wanted to keep all of my levies. And then when I eventually came for the Pale, the Second War, which is like almost 40 years later at that point, I was double their size, and I completely stormed them down. I still had Scotland as an ally, but at this point, I didn't really need Scotland. I did pull them in, and they definitely helped out, but they only sent 2,000 troops. So, I mean, I still smoked the Pale. I barely lost any troops. It was great. But again, population is something you're going to want to be very careful on. You don't want to just outright attack everybody. It's not like Victoria 3 where your troops are going to be replenished immediately. No, you have to work to replenish your troops as a tribal country. As Venice, it wasn't as bad because obviously I had a lot more population to pull from, and the bigger your population is to pull from, the easier it is for you to replace the troops, and it definitely worked out. We're going to deny that one. But yeah, it definitely worked out for Tyrone by being very, very hesitant to fight battles that are even, or even slightly better than even. Only fight battles that you are guaranteed to win. Another thing about the population is you're going to want to bring the tribesmen in if you're playing as a tribal country and make them into peasants so you can make use of them in other professions, as like, say, laborers, or for clergymen, or for, I guess, depending on what country you're playing as, the patrizio. There is definitely a lot involved on that front, and this is something I'm going to have to go into another video on, describing the differences in population. I just want to give you a first look on it. Be very careful when you're using your population. Even if you're playing as a larger country like Venice or Hungary or France, there are events in the game that will just decimate your population. I mean decimate. You will go from 4 million people, like, well, I'm giving you an over example here. We'll go from like 400,000 people to 40,000 people overnight. And it is scary when it happens, because you're going to be like, how am I supposed to recover? And unfortunately, the AI doesn't always recover from that. But, yeah, population is definitely an interesting concept in EU5. I look forward to how it expands on. I look forward to how they manage to get the AI to fix it. One thing that they could probably do to make it a little bit better is make population growth a little easier. At the same time, maybe make the qualifications a little bit easier. I guess it's kind of like qualifications. I feel like I'm always kind of starving for laborers in a lot of cases, and I got like a bajillion peasants just sitting there doing nothing. I'm clearly missing something, so maybe I'm just being bad at the game. Again, I haven't been able to put a huge amount of hours in. I've only got 20 hours in, but I had a hard time getting laborers in a lot of cases. If I was playing as Hungary, a big country like Hungary, yeah, my number one issue was actually getting people to become laborers. But beyond that, no, population's a very interesting mechanic. I look forward to how it actually evolves. Alright, so now we're going to be talking about the Casus Bellis system. In the early game, it does not work. In 1337, when it comes out, I find myself doing no CBs more than anything else. The main penalty to no CBs, obviously, is you do accrue antagonism with other countries, which is effectively just infamy or bad boy points. But at the same time, you also lose like 45 stability, which can be a pain to get back. But if you're playing a big country like Venice or Austria or, you know, Hungary or France or the Delhi Empire, you don't care. You just don't care. Unless you're doing something like attacking a country that's like completely insignificantly smaller than you. Like if you're playing Hungary and you attack like a small podunk country like, I don't know, Trieste or whatever, I can't remember, or that little Croatian country that's over on the corner here by Venice. Yeah, you're not going to want to do a no CB with them. You're probably going to want to maybe make a Casus Belli that actually will let you take them as a tributary, maybe, rather than just outright conquering them. That would probably be a better idea, because it'd be a hell of a lot cheaper. You only lose like 20 stability instead of 45 at that point. But again, if you're attacking a bigger portion of the country, or even if you're playing as Hungary and you're attacking Austria, and Austria is huge, but, well, it's not huge, it's big enough that if you took a bunch of their states, oh, who cares about the 45 stability loss? You just made a mint, and you don't care at that point. And that's something I've discovered for tribal countries as well. If you're a small tribal country and you're attacking other tribal countries, your only concern is getting more levies. That's something I discovered as a small tribal country, is the more levies you have, the safer you are, and your stability doesn't even matter. It's literally just a number. It barely affects you when you're a small tribal country. Just attack everything. Just make sure that you are superior to them in every single way. And the CB's system is kind of nice. As tribals, you get tribal feuds, but it doesn't work for all the states. I don't think it works for Kanash. I don't think it works for the Pale. It doesn't work for Claude Brine or whatever it's called. It works for like the small insignificant countries like Ulster or Tyrone or Munster or even Leinster or Leinster. Yeah, I can't pronounce things. But yeah, the CB system is a little interesting right now. It definitely gets a little bit better as you get better technologies, as you go deeper into the game. You start getting better ones as you go along. But that's later in the game. In the early point of the game, you could probably just no CB everything. When I was playing as Venice, I no CB'd everybody. I didn't give a crap. I was a big beefy boy. I had a lot of money to spend. I just built a billion regulars, as many as I could. I got like 1,000 regulars, and I had like 4,000 levies, 5,000 troops. I literally ate all of Italy just to fill up my node, and the only one that could really stand against me was Hungary and Naples. And yeah, it was a fun game, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of nice not having to worry about CBs all the time and having to sit there and wait for years upon years to get your spy in place, and then get your no CB down, or your Casus Belli down. And there's not a particularly wide bevy of good CBs to start with anyways, so it's not really worth it in the early game from what I've seen. Again, I've only played the first 60 years. I imagine it gets a heck of a lot better as the game goes on. As I get more hours into the game, I will be able to explain it better at that point. It's definitely something I'm going to have to revisit. Again, this is just a first look from what I've seen for the first 60 years of the game. That's it. But as for the stability of the game regarding CBs, it doesn't seem like the AI makes use of no CBs very well. They like to wait for when they have a proper Casus Belli. And that is why I've noticed that a lot of countries do not expand a whole heck of a lot. I think they should definitely be a lot more hyper-aggressive, kind of like in Victoria 3. But I think that's something that they're definitely going to be changing as the game goes along, especially when it comes to touching up the AI. Now, speaking of the AI... Oh my, the AI is very, very, very limited right now. It kind of feels like Stellaris 1.0, where the AI pretty much just looks at your numbers and doesn't pay attention to anything else. I have been attacked by countries when I have had an alliance with a gigantic country that has guaranteed me already. Okay? Again, I was playing as Tyrone, I got attacked by the Pale, who was slightly bigger than me, but I had an alliance with Scotland. In any other world, that would be one of the dumbest things you could ever do. Dumb. Completely dumb. The AI does not properly expand currently. It has serious limitations on that front. I don't think they make use of no CBs properly. I don't think they make use of their current CB system properly, and I think the CBs take so long that the AI doesn't know what to do with them. And again, in the early game, the CBs are so limited that I don't think the AI can expand in the first 60 years. I might have to wait another 100 years before it starts expanding properly until I get to like 1444, the actual start of EU4, because that seems to be the case. That really does seem to be the case. It seems like the first 100 years are kind of like here's a chance for you to get your bearings, get your trade set up, get your money set up, and then the AI is going to start going crazy. I'm starting to think that might be what happens, because in the first 60 years of the game, it's just not that much expansion. It's very, very limited, and it seems to be predetermined in a lot of cases. There are situations of expansion that do not happen at all that you would expect to happen. Like the Ottomans are a tiny little country here, and they're supposed to effectively eat the Byzantine Empire bit by bit by bit leading up to 1444. They don't really expand at all in the first 60 years. They just kind of sit there and do nothing. I actually saw the Ottomans get completely stomped when I was playing as Hungary. And the first 30 years, the Ottomans just disappeared off the map. I'm like, what the hell just happened? That's not supposed to happen. It was interesting. I liked it, but I don't know what to say about the AI. Clearly, it's something that they're going to have to revisit. I imagine that's something they're going to be touching up on very, 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 very much over the next year or so. But I don't think it's like as bad as, say, Victoria 3. Victoria 3's AI at the beginning of the game, where you had like permanent wars that never ended, or situations where the countries would do stupid fights on countries that they couldn't even reach, like Great Britain attacking Kishijouj and they can't even reach it. That hasn't seemed to happen in EU5 yet. But again, I don't think the AI is particularly aggressive in EU5. I think they're very, very cautious. And I don't know if that translates into a particularly interesting world, especially countries like France, who should be super duper insanely aggressive, to expand. They're not doing it. They're not just eating every immediate neighbor. But there are some countries where they're going to be attacked within the first couple years of the game every single time. Like, I noticed that Ulster gets attacked by Cloudbrine, or whatever it's called, pretty much in the first 2 years, and then there's a little country, I can't remember the name of it, in the tip of Ireland, that gets eaten by Munster every couple years. And then I noticed that there's a couple states in Greece that get attacked every couple years. It seems to be a lot of predetermined wars, but there doesn't seem to be a whole heck of a lot of interestingly weird, different type of wars that come out of nowhere. That's something that I've noticed, and I have no doubt that that's going to change as time goes on. Maybe even in the release version of the game, it's going to be definitely different. But maybe for the first couple DLCs, they're definitely going to be working on it. But as it is right now, yeah, the AI is limited. It's not the greatest. It's not the greatest. They're not sending their best. Unfortunately, it is just the way that the game is. But I mean, considering how deep the EU5 is and how long it is, we're talking 500 years. I imagine that it's just something that you're going to have to put up with up until they can start really, hammering it out. They're going to need a heck of a lot more time. And even 2 or 3 years on a game is not going to be enough to get something like that out of the way. How long did it take for EU4 to really become dangerous? Like, I remember playing EU4 in the first couple years and just kind of steamrolling the game every single chance I got. I remember doing that in EU3. Oh my gosh, EU3, up until they started putting limitations on Infamy. Oh my goodness, it was super duper easy to world conquer in EU3. And then they definitely put limitations on there, and they definitely made the AI a lot more aggressive, a lot stronger. It's going to be the same with EU5. It's going to be somewhat limited on the AI at the beginning, and then as time goes on, as they get more DLCs out, it's definitely going to be a heck of a lot more aggressive, a lot more stronger, a lot better off, a lot more random, a lot more interesting outcomes. But my suggestion is get good at EU5 before that happens, because if EU3 serves as a reminder, I remember how unrelentingly difficult EU3 got by the end of the game. I think it was Napoleon's Ambition when that came out. Yeah, that EU3 just became untenable. I had such a difficult time afterwards, and I have no doubt that EU5 is going to end up in that very same vein. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie. EU5 has a bright future. It's going to be a rocky start, but it's going to be a bright, bright future, I'm telling you. Alright, now the final subject I wanted to talk about is the load times and optimization. That is something that really matters near and dear to my heart, specifically because I play Victoria 3 and the final 30 years of this game are hell. They're just hell. Now again, I've only played 60 years of EU5 so far, so I can't go in depth about the end game. I don't know what the end game is going to be like for EU5 yet. I definitely will be putting more time into the game as time goes on, but again, that is something for the future. What I've noticed for EU5 is there are minor stuttering issues. I can't pinpoint where the stuttering is coming from. Typically, it matters most when you're kind of zoomed in. When you're zoomed in, it tends to stutter a little bit. I guess it's got a little bit of the information just being loaded up at that point. When I'm zoomed out, I don't really stutter all that often. When it comes to the load times, for me, on a solid state drive, for my current setup, I can't remember, I think it's a Ryzen 7 5800, 6 core, or 6, whatever core, I can't remember offhand. But, for me, it's super duper quick for the load time. Like, when I remember how slow EU3 and EU4 were for loading, it would be up to 3 minutes to start a game. With the current setup that I have, which is a 4-year-old computer, or 5-year-old computer at this point, I think it's about 1.5 minutes to load a brand new game. And what I've noticed is if I reload, it's even faster by like almost a minute. So it's like 30 seconds if you actually start a new game. Another thing that I've noticed about it is loading saved games is a heck of a lot faster too, instead of waiting a 3-minute time like I did with EU4. Again, we're only 30 seconds to a minute. When it comes to the playthrough, the optimization, how fast the game runs, the days go as fast as Victoria 3. It really does. But what I noticed is when I'm running through it, there is a sound that plays at midnight for every single day that passes, and when you're on speed 5, it goes click, 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 click. Oh, that's really annoying. I actually turned the sounds off because of that. That's something they're gonna have to definitely address. It was not fun. I did not like that aspect of it. But when you're at war, don't be in speed 5. Speed 5 goes so fast. In fact, when I'm at war, I'm at speed 1 or speed 2. I don't even run speed 3 in freaking EU5 for the war. That's how fast the game goes. If you want to go for, like, here's the thing. The reason why it took me so long, 20 hours to get 6 years is, I guess, kind of fast for an Europa Universalis game. You could probably hammer out an entire 500-year span in less than a week. I'm not even kidding. You could probably do it in 50, 60 hours of a single run if you were very dedicated to do that, because of how fast the game seems to run. Even after 60 years and all the changes are made, it's still running as fast as if I just started the game off. I hope it continues that way as the game progresses. I cannot tell you yet. I will later, but currently, from what I know, it is ninja fast. Ninja fast. It is probably the fastest running Europa Universalis game I've ever had. I played so much Europa Universalis 4. I think I got 4,000 hours in that game now. I don't remember it ever running as fast as Europa Universalis 5. Everything about it is just quicker. It just feels quicker. It feels faster. It just... a wonderful optimization. I cannot give them more praise on that front. The stuttering definitely needs to be fixed, but the speed? Wow! Wow, 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 wow. I hope it stays that way throughout the entire game. I hope that by year 500, the game runs just as fast as it does after year 60. But I can't tell you yet. Obviously, this is just a first look, so don't expect all the information. I might even be wrong on a lot of this information. You gotta remember, only 20 hours is not a lot. That's why I'm not calling this a review. This is not a review. This is a first glance, a first look, a first impressions. Because 20 hours isn't enough to give a proper review. And I wanted to let you guys know about this, what my thoughts are on EU5. I think EU5 is going to have become a major classic very, very quickly. I would say it's probably 2 or 3 DLCs and major patches away from becoming a classic. The main changes that I think that need to change for it are, number 1, the UI. Number 2, I would say the graphics, to be honest. I think that's probably the major hang-up that a lot of people have with EU5 is the Civilization 7 style graphics, the Civilization 7 style UI outlook. That's obviously subject to change. I'm willing to bet this is just a placeholder, and they're going to definitely make major changes as DLCs go. And the third thing that they're obviously going to be working on is the AI, and the AI is definitely something that I think is going to make or break the experience of EU5 over time. As it is right now, it's serviceable. Would I call it good? No. I think that's something that's subject to change, and I hope it's something that's subject to change, and I look forward to it changing. Anyhow, I have rambled on enough. Again, a lot of this information might not even be 100% correct. This is just off of the top of my head here, because I cannot run EU5 in the background while I'm doing this. I'm just going based off of my notes and my memory here. So if I'm getting something wrong, I'm sorry guys. This is just a first look, a first impressions. Do you want a verdict? Here, I'll give you a verdict. Oh gosh, a verdict. Verdicts can be wrong, okay? Verdicts can be wrong, and that's why I don't like doing verdicts. I made a verdict about Civilization 7 that I regret. I was 100% wrong about Civilization 7. Instead of Civilization 7 getting improved over time, instead of them getting major patches, major changes to be made better, what we discovered is that Take-Two Interactive pulled the rug out from them, and now Firaxis is dead in the water, and Civilization 7 is dead in the water. It's in limbo. We've got no major patches beyond 1.1, no major good patches, I should say, beyond version 1.1, and now it's a joke. Do I think the same thing for Europa Universalis 5? No, I don't think the same thing. I'm going to make the same verdict as I did with Civilization 7. I think U5 is a must-buy. I think it's a must-buy for most players. For the war-hungry army, in-depth army type players for Hearts of Iron 4, you might want to wait a little while before getting this. But when it comes to like Victoria 3 players or Europa Universalis 4 players, or even Stellaris players at that point, do I think Europa Universalis 5 is a must-buy? Yes, I freaking do. Victoria 3 and Europa Universalis 5 have quite similar mechanics in a lot of fronts, and because of that, Europa Universalis 5 tickles a lot of the same things that make people love Victoria 3. I'm not kidding. The building Europa Universalis 5 is kind of similar to Victoria 3. Obviously, it's not on the same venue, it's not on the same level as Victoria 3. You're obviously building a heck of a lot more in Victoria 3 than in EU5, particularly because of limitations on money. But it is as gratifying watching the line go up in Victoria 3 as it is watching your ducats go up in EU5. It tickles the same part of the brain, and I love EU5 in its current state. Its current, not entirely finished state. I think I'm probably going to get a couple thousand hours out of it. I am. For the Stellaris players, what you're probably going to discover for EU5 is you're going to have the slow growth feel. Like, again, it's not like Victoria 3 where you're going to be completely overwhelmed. It's going to be kind of like in Stellaris where every action has consequences. So you're going to be very meticulous on what you build. You're not just going to be haphazard like I am here. Oh, I'm going to build 100 iron mines. Oh, no, no, no. Especially if you play a smaller country like, say, Tyrone. You only get to build one building every couple years. You're going to be very careful on what you build. And what you build can make or break how well you do in the early game. And how well you do in the early game becomes how well you become later on in the game over 60 to 100 to 200 years. Again, I haven't played 200 years yet, but for the first 60 years, I found that the types of buildings that I built in the early game definitely matter. They definitely matter. There's definitely a tier list on what buildings you should be building in the early game. And I think Stellaris players are going to enjoy that aspect. When it comes to EU4 players, diplomacy is interesting right now. It's not completely fleshed out. It's not perfect yet, and the AI doesn't seem to understand how it works. I think there's too many abilities to make contracts out there. Like, I saw the Ottomans just sit there for 60 years and never attack the Byzantines, and it's because the Byzantines had like a bajillion allies. They had like Bulgaria as an ally, they had Hungary as an ally, they had like well, I can't remember, like, was it Modena? No, it was Verona. Verona as an ally all the way over here. How does that even happen? The borders are so far away. Like, they just had so many powerful allies that the Ottomans would be crazy if they were to attack. And yeah, that definitely didn't work out on that front. So diplomacy is interesting. When it comes to diplomatically annexing other countries, you're going to have to wait a little while to really get into that. It's not something that you're going to get super duper early in the game. It's something that kind of builds over time, especially as you get better technologies. But the technology system and the technology tree system is kind of nice. I like it a little bit better than EU4's technology method. I didn't like EU4's technology, to be honest. I definitely do miss the administration points. I definitely miss the diplomatic points. I definitely miss the military points. The way that they're doing things now is more like Romance of the Three Kingdoms than it is EU4. But again, EU5 is probably a must-buy for EU4 fans, specifically for the EU4 fans who love to hunt for achievements. I have to remind people that the achievements that you're going to be earning in EU5 are exactly the same way as in EU3 and EU4, which means it's probably going to be based off of current version. It's going to be based off of Iron Man mode. It's going to be based off of, like, I don't know, maybe cloud saving or something like that. I can't guarantee it yet. This is just based off of what I've seen. But at that point, you're probably going to want to get into the game early while the AI is still struggling and get as many of the ultra hard achievements as you want out of the way as early as possible before they start updating the game to become a heck of a lot harder, because it's going to be like EU3. Every subsequent patch is going to make the game infinitely harder, because right now, this might be as easy as the game is going to get, and it's already pretty darn hard in a lot of cases. You're going to find yourself stuck in a lot of points, especially if you're playing like a podunk tribal country like Tyrone. You're going to run into a position where you're not going to be able to have enough army to take on the Pale, and they're your main bad guy on Ireland. And even after I conquered almost all of the rest of Ireland, I only had 3,000 levies. I had to build up regulars to shore up to become strong enough to actually take out the Pale, and that was super duper costly, which took 40-50 years in game just to get to that point. And it's definitely something that you're going to want to get out of the way early if you're an achievement hunter, because as the game goes on, it's going to get harder and harder and harder. I can already see the future for this game. This game is a gem now, but I think it's going to be a diamond later. I really do. So again, I think this is a must-buy game. This really does feel like a must-buy game to me. Again, the UI is a little clunky. It's not as pretty as, say, EU4 or even Victoria 3. The map is a little weird. When you zoom in, you don't get like a different map mode, but I think that's for the sake of optimization, because that's something they could probably add at any point anyways. Again, if you're willing to overlook these things, it's a must-buy. I'm gonna say it. It's a must-buy. I'm willing to put my reputation on this one. Okay? I am a fanboy of these games, so you have to recognize that I am, in fact, 100% biased. I am an EU4 fanboy, I'm a Stellaris fanboy, I'm a Paradox fanboy. So yes, I am biased, but I still think it's a must-buy. Did I think that Civilization 7 was a must-buy at the time? I mean, yeah, I still enjoy playing Civilization 7 even now, even though it's not as good as I hoped it would be 9 months later, but I would still buy it all over again. And I think the same thing of EU5. Do I think that EU5 is going to get abandoned like Civilization 7? God, no. Paradox thrives and lives off of its DLCs. I can guarantee that they will be releasing 1 million DLCs for EU5. There are so many expansion points in this game that you could see just by looking at the current map. Obviously, I can't show you right now. I can only give you an idea of it. Like, North America is empty. It's empty. There's like 10 tribes in all of North America. I guarantee they're going to release a DLC for North America that will give you 100 tribes, because that's how much room there is there. Like, colonizing North America will take forever in the current state. Same with South America. It's pretty much just the Incan tribes. The only portion of America that is super filled up that I've seen in the current build is the Aztec portion of America, and I guess the Mayan portion of America, which is Central America and, you know, Mexico and all that. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of opportunity for expansions in South America. There's a lot of opportunity for expansion in Africa. There's a lot of opportunity for expansion in East Asia. It's filled up, by the way. East Asia is completely filled up. Well, except for certain points, but it's so many tiny podunk countries in this portion area here that's right by Yuan that, oh my gosh, you might get like a 3 Kingdom style expansion for those where you can, I don't know, kind of merge them together almost. I don't know. Obviously, Japan. It's still the Ashikaga or whatever, the shogunate, or not the shogunate, but the Ashikaga, and it's unified. I imagine that they're going to be releasing DLCs for that. Yeah, EU5 has a bright future. I'm telling you now. Like I said, I'm willing to risk my reputation on this one. I think that EU5 is a must-buy day one. I really do. I think it is. It definitely plays like a must-buy for me, because the reason why I've only put 20 hours into it is because I only just got into the program. I only got into the program about a week ago. I've been super busy with real life, and I have not had a huge amount of time. I also got my Victoria 3 videos I got to keep getting done up until that point, so it's been tough to get free time to play EU5. Do I want to play EU5? Am I thinking about playing it right now? Yes, I really want to play it. Like, it's got its roots into me. It's got its hooks into me. For all of its flaws, it's got its hooks into me. And that is a feeling. Like, I could talk about the differences and between EU4 and EU5 all I want, but am I addicted to EU5? Yeah, I'm freaking addicted to EU5. So that's my verdict, and I know it turned out to be a major ramble, but that's what I do, I ramble. So, sorry this video ended up so long, guys. If you watched all the way through, you guys really are kings, especially because I ramble so damn much. That's why I don't do too many unscripted videos anymore. Whew. But yeah, this was a long one. Thank you for watching, and make sure to give your loved ones an extra hug tonight, because they might not be here tomorrow. Hail Hydra Cat.